Welcome to the Roadrunner 89 Investment Network, where we talk about interracial love and marriage. Hope you enjoy. Swirl to Investment.
People got a problem with some of these women married to white men. Yeah, I'm gonna go there this morning. Oh my God. Well, look, I don't know their situation, but this is what I do know. Some of them, a lot of them are dark-skinned black women, and some Negroes got a problem seeing the beauty in dark-skinned black women. Don't you be mad because a white boy came along and saw what you threw away. I ain't saying that's everybody. I ain't saying that's everything. I'm not saying it's universal. But before you rag on them, understand the story. Some of these darker skinned black women don't get no love. Could be at a place like Harvard, Princeton, and Yale, and the brothers dating all white women. Now that's their choice if they want to do that, but look at the demonization of darkness. Look at the chocolate charm that's being overlooked. Look at it, and we got everything in the book: vanilla vitality, caramel cuteness, chocolate charm, mocha magic. We got it all, bruh. And yet we overlook that, right? Because we think that the white man's water is wetter. And skin and flesh is sweeter and sexier. So don't be mad at black women who refusing to be by themselves if they wanted to be a partner, accepted the love and devotion of a white man who saw their value beyond their skin in a way that certain black men could, or saw the beauty and value in their skin, not transcending their darkness, inhabiting it in delicious fashion. But that's another story. So the thing.
Okay, welcome everybody to tonight's live. Sorry it's late. I've been running late all night. I just literally got out of the shower and got dressed to do this live. Look, I want to do it earlier, um, and I apologize to those that I gave you estimated time of 10 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, I'm off by about an hour and 40 minutes, and I'd apologize for that. Uh, it just work lasted longer than I thought it would tonight, and but I'm here tonight, and look, I want to do a part two to the Angryman Destiny debate. Okay, last night had a great time. It was a blast. Um, we kind of got off the reaction to the debate, and we got into a discussion which was awesome. Okay, when we do drift, I like to drift like that. Okay, we had a great discussion, a lot of points made. Okay, and the panel, we had different people we didn't see before, uh and sometimes I like to get other people's perspective. We had a black man in here, and telling his deal, and then uh apologetic white guy trying to defend black men, and yeah, it was just it was crazy but fun, and the panel was awesome. um and I know it went really long, and I'm going to try to shorten my lives, but honestly it's hard to do because I love talking to you guys, and when we get a panel going I could talk all night. Okay, I just enjoy it, and it's crazy because when I first did my lives, um, I was worried that I wouldn't have enough to talk about or make it last that long. I was worried I'd run out of things to talk about. But since I've been doing this. It's like I got to find a way to cut it a little short at times. But nonetheless, it was fun. I had a good time. And, everybody seemed to like it, seemed to get good reviews on it, a lot of positive stuff. I think some people were kind of offended when I started um, talking about politics. And hey, I don't mean to offend nobody. I don't care what side of the aisle you are. I'm just telling you, I'm just showing you who I am. Okay. And what I believe. Okay. I am right leaning. Okay. I'm conservative. And I'm that way because of my beliefs, because of my faith, how I've been raised. And, I don't, no, no shade to anybody that believes different than me. That's perfectly fine. Um, this is not a political show, but sometimes it comes out. And I want to be real to you guys. I want you to see the real me. Okay. I don't want to sit back and make you think I'm something I'm not. Okay. Um, so if you got offended, I apologize. It wasn't my intent. When I get passionate, I express how I feel. Okay. And anyway, I just wanted to say that. But oh, but it was a blast. And I thank you guys for coming on. I thank you guys for watching me tonight in this late hour. Okay. Um, but I do talk a lot. I do have extremely long lives. And that's because I love to talk to you guys. I love the interaction. I love the connection. I do. I love being around people. I love talking to people. Sometimes I don't want to be around nobody, you know, but a lot of times I do. And I think what we cover is very important. Um, you know, and especially when it comes to black women, opening up your options and showing love and respect to black women. Black women have been treated poorly for way too long. Okay. And, if we could all come in and do our part, and look, I'm about loving all women, respecting all women. Okay. I do have my preference. And I, I don't hide it. I don't sugarcoat it. Black women, that's the group of women I've always wanted to be around, always wanted to be with. Um, and it goes beyond the looks. It goes beyond, it goes to the heart and soul in the character of black women. Okay. And that's me. Okay. And I'm not going to hide it or try to be politically correct and say, I like all women the same and all this. No, that ain't possible. We all have our preferences. We all are attracted to who we're attracted to. But, I just wanted to say that. Can you share the name of the TikTok channel? Yeah, I will. Yeah. Um, but anyway, I wanted to put that out there, and if you want to see the Eric Dawson TikTok video, just go on the TikTok and put a search for it, his name, and you'll find it. Um, you know, let me see it again. I'm going to show it again. Someone's asking me to share the channel. Is that your channel that this TikTok came from?
So, and I know some people got a problem with some of these women married to white men. Yeah, I'm gonna go there this morning. Oh my God. Look, I don't know their situation, but this is what I do know. Some of them, a lot of them are dark-skinned black women, and some Negroes got a problem seeing the beauty in dark-skinned black women. Don't you be mad because a white boy came along and saw what you threw away. I ain't saying that's everybody. I ain't saying that's everything. I'm not saying it's universal. But before you rag on them, understand the story. Some of these darker skinned black women don't get no love. Could be at a place like Harvard, Princeton, and Yale, and the brothers dating all white women. Now that's their choice if they want to do that, but look at the demonization of darkness. Look at the chocolate charm that's being overlooked. Look at it, and we got everything in the book: vanilla vitality, caramel cuteness, chocolate charm, mocha magic. We got it all, bruh. And yet we overlook that, right?
Okay, I'm just showing it again. Yeah, I'll post in the community page. I'll look for the channel that it came from, and I'll put that on there later on. Alexander, how's it going, brother? Thank you for the super chat. Hi, everyone. I had to reschedule the live I had tonight to tomorrow morning. Okay. Uh, Thank you for the super chat. Uh, Alexander, rescheduled for tomorrow. Um, I hope I didn't cut into your time. I didn't know you were going live. I just wanted to get this part two, and I want to go through this. I want to get through it before I open a panel tonight because there's some stuff I want to talk about. Um, and then afterwards I will have an open panel. We will talk about it, and if you want to come up and say a few things in your opinion, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay? All I ask is if you're new, be respectful and don't, but anyway. But thank you so much, Alexander. Um, let's see. Anyway, okay. Let me get to. I'm going to get to the middle. I forgot where we left off because the chat was taken off, and we're having such a intense discussion. So I'm going to go where close to where we left off, and I'm going to carry it through, and I'm going to give my opinion on this. And then after I'm done, then I'll have an open panel and we can discuss it. Okay. And, just listen and, you say what you think on the chat. And then afterwards, hey, we'll have a discussion about it. Okay. Okay. Let me go ahead and add it to the screen.
Live a traditional life.
Okay. I think this is close where I was. Move it back a little bit. Okay, here we go.
Fucking younger and younger women every year. I don't think that these are the centers of society.
Okay, hey guys, just a little side note. There will be some cussing and some, sexual content that they're talking about. So just to let you know, okay? But anyway, let's continue.
Society that are going to be creating the traditional conservative man of tomorrow. It's just like the new marketing ploy that's being sold, and then all these guys that are falling into this shit. I call it OnlyFans for men, because it's just like it's rotting and destroying their minds, thinking that or leading them into thinking they're going to be something that they're never going to be, and it's not preparing them for the future in a way that I think a conservative person would be.
Well, I can't really speak for the whole space, but I do know that the vast majority of the guys that watch my show on a regular basis are those traditional type guys. Now, granted, a lot of them are already married, a lot of them are already in relationships, but what they find is here's the issue that they find. Let me break it down for you. What's happening is when they go out into the world and attempt to live a traditional life, they're constantly being told, these guys are constantly, meeting barriers, trying to live a traditional life. Now, when they go out here, I don't know where these conservative, traditional women that you're talking about are. I don't know where they congregate, but these are the complaints that guys give to me, that they have so much difficulty finding these type of women, especially in Black culture. In Black culture, we have an issue where there's this culture of promiscuity. There's this culture.
All right, let me stop it there. He's talking about where do you find these conservative women, traditional women. Okay. And I guess he's saying in the Black community, it's hard to find them. I'm going to call BS on that. There are a lot of traditional Black women. There are a lot of Black women of faith that believe in the nuclear family, dynamic, that believe in being married and raising a family. So I've been able to find black conservative women when I was dating, and my wife is a conservative black woman. She's very traditional. Okay. And look, I don't live in the black community. I don't. I live in a white community. Okay. And if I'm able to find these women, these traditional conservative women, black men can find them too. I think it's BS what he's saying. I do. Okay. I just, many black women are very traditional. Black women are very loving. You just, you got to go to the right space for that. And church and activities like that, that's where you find conservative women and men, right? They're usually in places like that. You're not going find a conservative woman in the club, right? I guess you could, but really your chances aren't that good. In the church, it's more, you have a better chance. Now there's corrupt people in the church. There is any church. Okay. And I heard one young lady said that in church there's two types of people, believers and deceivers. And yes, that is true. Um, but I don't think it's hard to find a traditional black woman. I don't. But we'll listen to what he has to say and we'll continue.
Culture of the slut walk and all of those different type of things, where every single woman they encounter is part of the sexual revolution. So they're gonna be a little more free sexually, and that's a nice way of putting it. So when these guys are out here actually looking for marriageable women, they're coming up short. They can't find any, because part of the new age way of thinking is that women should be able to do the things that men have traditionally done. And the sad part is, whenever you hear that, it's always women taking the most.
Okay, let me stop here. I got a thought on what he just said. That in today's world, um, women are expected to do what men do. And I believe, and this is my opinion, I believe that a lot of black men expect black women to do what men do. Okay? They expect them to, go 50-50 and this and that and work and, you know, and they're expected to raise their children right. A lot of times this is thrown at black women that, black men are acting crazy because of black women. Okay. And I find that disturbing when a group of men blames the women in their community. Um, you know, really, the men are the leaders. It's us as men. We It's our fault when it goes wrong because we are the leaders. That's what a leader does. He takes responsibility. Okay. The leader is supposed to guide, okay, and influence everybody to do the right thing. Whether you're at a job site in the military, leaders do that, you know, and the family dynamic also. You look out for your family. You put their needs above your own, or you should. Okay. Um, and I think too many times black women are expected to do more than they should do. Okay. And that's not, and I don't believe it's the women's movement that pushed them that way. Some are influenced that way, but I think it's men's fault that a lot of women are like that because they have to be. Black women have to, take the reins. They have to take charge in so many cases. They have to raise the children alone. And, it's a sad thing. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue.
Negative things of men and then touting that as empowerment. This is what the guys are encountering on a regular basis, where the women they want to do the same things, they want to have the same equality as men, which is fine, but they don't want the same accountability, the same responsibility. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, if you're willing to be in the right, have you heard of the? Have you heard of this? I know you've heard the saying. Have you heard of the saying, "Dress for the job that you want"?
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea is like you should carry yourself through life like you're where you want to be, because that's how you're going to find that place, essentially, right? I'll hear people say this, like, I don't know where to find conservative women. And then you like ask them, well, where are you looking? And they're like, well, I've tried Tinder, I've gone on Bumble, I've gone on Hinge. And it's like, okay, do you go to a church? Like, do you have a community of like conservative friends? Have you been involved in any political or community organizing? Because like, especially in the Black community, right? Like women are like the backbones of all of these things. And if you're looking for conservative people and you're in those areas, you'll find them there. But I feel like people aren't setting themselves up in a conservative lifestyle. Like if you tell me you're looking for a conservative woman and you're not part of your local church, like Jesus, that's like the number one place to start, right? Because these are where off of churches are where all of your community building activities are going to stem from. Every church has a bulletin board where people are doing things. A lot of churches are involved in like community outreach. You can volunteer. You meet a ton of people this way. But people aren't willing to go out and look for it. Yeah, but I feel like in terms of that type of advice, I never hear red pillars talking about that. It's always like the sexual marketplace and high value men are these things you have to do to exploit the dynamics of the evolutionary psychology of women so that you can fuck as many women as possible. And that's why you're going to be 1%. And like, that's the message I hear over and over and over and over and over again, rather than like, look up your local archdiocese, start going to your church every Sunday. And when church ends, everybody's chatting with each other because that's what they do. Sometimes the priest or whatever will come out and talk to people, and you just like talk to people and you meet friends that way. Like that's how you organically grow out
Okay, let me stop there. He's got a lot of good points, right? Talking about conservative women. Now, if you look at Angryman, does he look like a conservative man? How he's dressed? If you're a conservative woman, would you want to hook up with Angryman? I mean, I'm not attacking how he's dressed, but you know, Destiny said you got to dress for the job, right? If you want a conservative woman, a traditional woman, you got to present yourself as a traditional man, right? Or you're not going to get very far. You know, if you walk in if you dress with your pants sagging, gold chain, and all this, and trying to find a conservative woman, she's probably not even going to talk to you. She's probably, because you don't fit that description what she's looking for. Now that don't mean how you dress is how you are, but it kind of is. You know, you dress for the job. You present yourself in a certain way to get a certain woman that you want to be with for a relationship, for marriage, right? And what he was saying, your local church, that's a place where people socialized, they come together, and after church, he's right. People will talk all freaking night after church. Look, when I go to my church, we spend a lot of time in the parking lot just talking, just talking. Okay? You meet people. And usually, if you're conservative, usually people in church are mostly conservative, right? Mostly traditional. They're following the biblical standard. So it makes sense, right? Um, you know, or you can just go to the club and hope you find a conservative woman, but you're probably not. Okay, because it just, you know, you got to present yourself of what you're looking for. Okay, because you know. But anyway, let's
a
continue.
group of friends. But I don't hear that advice ever in the
Well,
manosphere. I never hear that.
I hate the reason why you never hear that in the manosphere is because the biggest hoes usually go to church. They're usually the most promiscuous. They're usually the most trifling. Like guys wish it was that easy. They could just go to church and find a good wholesome girl at church. They can't. That's usually where the worst ones are at.
On average, do you think the women in church are going to be more promiscuous, or like women that are like at a bar or a club?
Bro, they do the same thing.
So every woman everywhere, there are no more conservative women.
They're twerking. They're twerking.
Cat. Oh my God. So they're worse at church than in the club. They're just so promiscuous. Um, I know some stuff happens in church, right? There are corrupt people. Yes, there are people that are promiscuous in church. There are. Okay. But you have a better chance finding a conservative young lady in a church than you would at a club or a bar, right? That's what he's saying. And Angry Man's saying, oh, no, they're all like that. They're even worse. I don't know what church he's going to where do the women torque in church? I haven't seen that. I mean, um, maybe I don't know, but I've heard stories about women having affairs in church and stuff. It does happen. Yes, and even preachers have slept with members of the church. Okay, but I believe most preachers don't do that. Okay. Um, Thanks again, Alexander, for the super chat. Um, Good to see you, brother. Um, but seriously, if I'm a single man and I'm looking for a wife, I'm probably going to be looking at church than a club or a bar. Okay. Not saying you can't find a good wife in a club and bar and it turns out great. But your chances are better in a more traditional space, a more conservative, traditional, in the church, people that really believe in God, they follow the Bible. They follow what God puts forth. Okay? And they're not perfect people, but they live by a certain standard. They have discipline. Okay? Um so anyway, I mean, what do you think? You think Angry Man's right? They're just worse than the church? Um, you know, he looks like a real conservative dude. I mean, don't you think? We got Angry Man and Papa Smurf, but enjoying this debate. But anyway, let's continue.
Working in church. When you look at the black community, the vast majority of the men don't even go to church anymore. They've checked out, and the reason why they checked out is because of the ridiculousness that's going on in the church. You got the Baptist preacher actually having sex with women in the congregation. You've got women actually twerking in church. You've got the single mothers sitting on the front pew of the church. Like, the church, especially in the black community, I can't speak for the white community, but in the black community, the church is lost, bro. It's done.
Where are all of these single moms coming from?
Hey, I'll bet this. I bet these so-called good men that checked out of the church because it's so crazy and women torquing and the Baptist preacher sleeping with the congregation and all this stuff he's saying. Yeah, I bet these men don't miss the club. I bet they're at the club on a Saturday night. I bet they are. I bet they're hitting up these women at the club. I bet there ain't a shortage of black men at the club, but there is at the church. And I don't think it's because the women aren't acting right. This is another way of blaming black women for the problems in the community. And look, there are some black women that don't act right, right? Every group has people that don't act right, are not doing the right thing. But just dismiss the church. Well, if your church is a torquing church where the preacher's sleeping with, you need to go to a different church and get out of there. Um, you know, but I mean, he's not really making sense. So, oh, we're going to leave the church because we're so conservative that we want high value, decent women. So, okay, where you're going if you're leaving the church that you checked out of? Where are you finding these traditional conservative women? Are you even looking for a conservative woman? I think a lot of these guys don't know what conservative really is. I think it's just kind of like a fad. Yeah, I'm traditional conservative. And a lot of people really aren't. Maybe they're conservative politically, but are they traditionally? I don't know. Um, but anyway, let's go ahead.
Where are they coming from?
Yeah.
Well,
If the church is fucked because it's all like single moms and people like, it seems like it takes two to tango, right? Like it can't just be all on black women,
well,
right?
actually, no, it does. Actually, no, it doesn't take two to tango. And the reason why is because what's going on in the black community is you have a large group of women that are actually having sex with multiple men, having children with multiple men. You actually have twice as many women in the black community have children as the men. Twice as many.
Yeah, but why is that? There are some cities where there's like 3 black women for every 1 man that's not in jail, right? Like, I mean, like, depending on the city that you live in, the availability for some of these black women to even find a guy, the competition is fierce.
Check. He hit it right on the head. Black women outnumber black women. And he said in some cities like 3 to 1. So maybe that's why those numbers are slanted. Okay. And black women, only 27% are married. Okay. So these women might be with multiple guys at different times, right? And it's not that they just want to be with different guys. They're looking for the right man. Okay. So yeah, those numbers would be slanted because they're looking for a good traditional man, a man that's going to provide and protect. They're waiting for that good black man. So that's what's really going on. But you're going to demonize these women because you will not marry them. You will not take care of your children. And I'm not saying all, but look, the biggest out of birth rate is in the black community. Okay. And I blame the men. It's not. And look, to be fair, out of birth rate is growing in every community. Okay. But when you sit there and you blame women, shame women, and say they're having more sexual relationships than the men, when the women outnumber the men, come on. And the focus should be on building the family, the community, not shaming the women. It ain't going to do nothing for you. Putting the blame on a woman makes you weaker as a man. I'm just saying. And as a leader, it's your fault when it goes bad. In any situation, in the workplace, the guy or the woman that's in charge, when it goes wrong, it's their fault. When you're in the military, when you're on the battlefield, you're in charge, it goes wrong, it's your fault. When you're in a marriage and it's not right with your wife and kids, it's your fault as a man. And until us as men realize this and be real leaders and quit looking to put the blame on women, we're not going to get anywhere. So, I mean, and I see this all the time. It's the blame game. It's black women. They're promiscuous. They're having kids out of wedlock. Well, okay, they can't do that by themselves. Women cannot just have children by themselves. It takes a man, and men pursue women more than women pursue men. A lot more. So this notion that it's women's fault and they're not doing right, but these guys are such good men. Come on now. Anyway, let's continue.
There's a number of factors. The competition is very fierce, and there's a number of reasons for that. Number one, we have a small percentage of the population. Black women, last time I checked, outnumbered the men by about 3 or 4 million, something crazy like that. Part of the reason is because of Planned Parenthood. In our community, they actually go to Planned Parenthood to the tune of 367,000 per year. That's 1,000 every day. So that already right there, you have a
Okay, why is that? Okay, now look, um, the most abortions are by black women. He's right about that. But here's the thing: he's blaming black women for the abortion rate, right? Now, why do black women do this? Or any woman? Why does a woman have an abortion? Okay, it's not because look, it's not because they want to have one. It's they do not know what to do. They're scared. They're left out alone. They don't have a lot of wealth, and especially if you're a woman by yourself and the guy bounced on you. What do you do? Okay, and look, I'm not for abortion, but I understand why women do this. Okay, and a lot of black women do this because the men will not step up and be real men and take care of the woman and the children. They will not marry these women. So what's the woman to do? Have the child live in poverty while the guy bounces around from woman to woman? And look, I agree that's a problem, the abortion rate, right? It's keeping the black population down. That's not a good thing. But men doing what they're supposed to will eliminate a lot of those abortions. I guarantee it. Because women aren't just wanting to terminate their pregnancy. They're not. They do it because they feel there's no other choice. They do it because they fear being in poverty. They don't have money. They don't have no support system. The man bounced on them. So if we're going to talk about that, let's look at what's really going on. Because it's easier to point the finger and say it's the women doing it. Well, you put them in that position. So whose fault is it really? Because if men stepped up, there wouldn't be that many abortions. I guarantee it. But anyway, let's continue.
a lower population of just black people in general due to that. In addition to that, there has been an issue with mass incarceration thanks to good old Joe Biden with the 94 crime bill. So you have a lot of brothers that are locked up. So that diminishes the amount of black men as well. In addition to that, you have the cultural problem of black women not being very easy to get along with and not being easy to cohabitate with. So you have black men who seek relationships outside of the black race, outside of the country, with the passport bros, with SYSBM, all of those different things. So then you end up with an even lower amount. And what happens is you have black women out here that are more prone to deal with what people call the Pookies and the Ray Rays, and they'll go out here and they'll have kids, they'll have children with 1, 2, maybe even 3 different men. And the reason why that is because it's been incentivized by our government. Unfortunately, a lot of these.
Oh, okay. I disagree. No, I don't buy that the government is incentivizing black women to have children out of wedlock. I totally disagree with that. Look, um, we're looking at what, $5 billion? Is it 5 or 50 that is what we're spending on the out of birth rate, taking care of black children that these black men leave these women alone. The government don't want to pay that money. Come on now. Why would they incentivize black 50 billion? Okay. Why would the government incentivize black women to have children out of wedlock? Come on now. It's going to cost us more, our country more. We're going to have to raise taxes to pay for it. It's going to lead to crime because children that only have one parent are more prone to fall into crime and not be as successful as children that have both parents. So it's creating a very big problem. And he said one thing about Joe Biden's crime bill. Okay, if you're not committing the crime, you don't have to worry about Joe Biden's crime bill. Okay, look, a lot of black men are incarcerated, but they're doing the majority of the crime. Let's tell the truth on this. It's not like the government said, "Hey, let's just lock up black men just for the heck of it and just round them up and throw them in prison." Okay, it don't work like that. Now, are there some that are wrongfully charged and there's mistakes in our just? Oh yes, yeah, that does happen. But the majority that are incarcerated deserve to be incarcerated. They done the crime. Okay, so whose fault is that? Black women ain't running around doing all these crimes. They're not being incarcerated in large numbers. So, but they get the blame though. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue.
Women are doing that in order to supplement their lifestyle with welfare, food stamps, child support, all of those different things. There's a bunch of different factors that weigh into that.
Okay, for whatever we want to blame black women for this, black men are just as culpable, right? We can complain about the mass incarceration from the 93 crime bill all we want, but Joe Biden doesn't make somebody sell weed. Joe Biden doesn't make somebody carry an unregistered firearm. Joe Biden doesn't make somebody a gangbanger. Like, these are choices that are still being made, that are being made by black men that fuck over black women in the community. And I think that the cultural problems stem from a lot of the kind of like dysfunction that goes back and forth there. I don't think it's fair to blame black women on everything. Like, we can talk about like food stamps and welfare and all that too, but that exists for black people and white people and every other type of person in the United States. But it seems like the black community has like a special problem with it, right?
Well, hold on. No, when we're talking about that, there are things that are very specific. Okay, one book written by what is her name? Elizabeth Hinton, who I think went to Yale. I think she's a professor in African American studies at either Yale or I think Yale, if I'm not mistaken. She wrote From the War on Poverty to the War on Crime. And she pointed out through her research, right after you get the 65 Voters' Rights Act, you actually have a overhauling of the criminal justice system where they started policing urban areas more heavily. This is right after the Industrial Revolution, where you have black people migrating into the urban centers. You have them policing them more heavily. Okay, you actually have what is the equivalent of today billions of dollars funneled into that criminal program. I forgot the name of it, but the purpose was to create probation officers, all of these different things to create a revolving door in the criminal justice system, which has affected the black community significantly. So yeah, it's wrong for any black man to go out here and commit crimes and do things that he doesn't have any business. But it has been historically proven over and over again that black men have been disproportionately targeted by the criminal justice system, especially with particular crimes. When you have certain narcotics that black men get a harsher sentence for, whereas other groups of men might get a slap on the wrist, or even worse when it comes to unaliving somebody. More often than not, when a white guy goes to jail for unaliving somebody, they end up getting a manslaughter charge as opposed to second degree or whatever degree or whatever. Now, I'm not trying to play the victim Olympics.
Yeah, you are. You're playing the victim Olympics, doing a good job too. Um, Now he says that white people get a lesser charge or get off easier. Um, I'm going to say I agree with that, and I'm going to tell you why. I believe, and I don't think it's a white supremacy thing that, hey, let's let the white guys off easy and the black guys no. I think a lot of times it goes by wealth. Um, I think they see white people that get lesser charges because they have more money, they have better lawyers, and they get a better result. Okay. In our world, look, you have more money, you have it easier. It shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it is. It's not fair. It's not right. But people that can pay to have the better lawyers get the better results. I mean, look at it. Look at the OJ case, right? He got off. He had the best lawyers money can buy. Okay. Now, if he's a regular black dude or white dude, I think he would have been found guilty. But being a celebrity, having the prestige, having the money, you could buy the best lawyers and they'll give you the best result. Okay. And I think a lot of the times it has to do with wealth. Now, I'm sure there's cases where just the racist situation and the black guy gets the short end of the stick. Okay. I'm not going to say that don't happen, but I think a lot of times it's the wealth you have. You know, when you have more money, you have more resources, you have more protection. It is what it is. If you have money, you're going to have, you're going to live better than somebody that is just an everyday guy. Okay. Um, but anyway, that's just my opinion. I mean, you tell me yours. What do you think? Um, but anyway, let's continue.
Just stating the facts. Like any of this can be looked up. It's the research is out there.
Yeah,
So it's
I
not
agree.
just
Yeah,
it's not just that black men are just like, oh, we're gonna go to prison or whatever. Like right around the time that they overhauled the welfare program in 90 in freaking 96, not 96, in 65 and 66, you see a rise in single parent households. You see a rise in single parent households. You had a number of things that occurred that affect that. You had the emergence of the prison industrial complex. You're just coming out of the Vietnam War, which a lot of black men lost their lives to that. And now you have this welfare program where if you have a man in the house, one of the stipulations is you don't qualify for those particular things, which is unfortunate because during that time you had a really serious problem with poverty. So there's a number of factors that play into all of that.
So
Okay, let me say my opinion on this. I don't believe that black women just said one day, hey, they're going to give us money. Let's kick the black man out to get more money. I think in the system, they created that rule because if there's a man providing, why do you need welfare? Okay, if he's able bodied and he goes to work and gets a paycheck, he can provide for the women and children. Okay, and a lot of cases when it comes to welfare, a lot of the men living with women with kids are actually not the father of the children she has. Okay, there's a lot of men that exploit that will shack up with these women that have children and live with the woman and her children, living off the resources the government gives her for her and her children. There's guys that will live off that also, that aren't even the father. Okay, so how often is that happening? Okay, and I don't believe they would kick the person out of the house if they're married. But anyway, and here's the thing: all this stuff he's complaining is happened. Okay, if you know what's causing it and you know what's going wrong, then you have the knowledge and the know-how to fix it. Do you not? Because we could go back to the 60s and all the times in history, right? And pick out all the bad things that have happened. But if you know what caused it, then you should know how to fix it. And how you fix it is marry the women you're with. If you can't afford to take care of her and a child, you should not lay down with her. Because it's not the government's responsibility or any other person's responsibility, but your own as a man. And I'm telling you, welfare, it's a lot of money that's spent. And these women are not just seeking welfare. They're kind of forced into it. A single mother, she has to get welfare. She has no choice. How is she going to eat and feed her children? Okay. Now, if the man's providing, she won't need welfare. And it's not a glamorous life living on welfare with food stamps. These women aren't just rolling in money, it's tough. They're living with the bare minimum. So I don't believe they would kick the man out to live with the bare minimum when the man has the ability to make more money than what welfare she's going to get. And the average guy today, black, white, or whatever, can make more money than what she's going to get from welfare. Let's be honest. I mean, yeah, the government cheese is good, but other than that, maybe, Michael, this. Anyway, let's continue.
To preface this, I just will comment as a small jab. I think it's funny that you're citing a woman who is a historian who went to Yale. So historians are important, right?
That is funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, sure. That book, America on Fire, I think, or the Poverty One or whatever, right? But regardless of that, everything you said might be true, but none of that is black women's fault. I just don't think it's fair to blame black women. Like, you can't blame black women for men being incarcerated. When police are policing these areas, black men are the ones that are engaging in the crime. The black women aren't. And I guess it just feels a little shitty to blame black women when at the end of the day, they're the ones that get saddled with all of the community responsibility. They've got to be the backbone of like all these families, of all these churches, of all these things that are like the only way these communities function are on the backs of these like single black women moms. And then say, well, hold on, let me finish. And then for black men to turn around and say, well, we got policed really heavily. And so, we got caught selling drugs, and that's why you guys are all single moms, and that's why your lives are fucked up. But it's black women's fault for everything that happens in the black community. Okay. I think there's a lot of fault that could be evenly doled out to both sides, is what I'd say. I wouldn't blame black women for it.
Okay, he just hit him with logic. Right? He's blaming black women for everything. For the incarceration rates, for the out of birth rate, for the welfare system. I mean, listen to this dude talk. What is not the fault of the black woman? What is she not guilty of? I mean, it just. Destiny needs to be a pastor. Yeah, he's hitting facts. He's using logic. And look, it gets crazy. You're just sitting there blaming black women for darn near everything. He's not even saying, well, we're both at fault here. No, it's black women. But anyway, let's continue.
Okay, here's the thing with this, all right? There is so much nuance in all of that. Mm-hmm. One, you have a lot of guys that were caught selling drugs that weren't selling drugs. Okay, you have a lot of guys that had issues where they got pulled over and, oh, surprise, there's drugs in the car. Where did that come from? Okay, so that's one thing. There's nuance like that. Doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. All right. Then on top of that, when you're talking about it's not the black women's fault, black women are willing participants in a system that they actually know for a fact is disproportionately prejudiced to their group of men. Okay. They know this. This is not a game. They go to these offices knowing that they can actually take advantage of this system by, oh, I'm in a relationship with a black man who ain't hitting on nothing and don't want to work and blah, 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 all of those different things. So we can't ignore that. We can't ignore that. Now, to sit here and say, oh, it's all black women's fault. I never said it was all black women's fault.
Well, you said, well, all I've heard is black women this, black women that, black women. I really haven't heard you blame a black man yet. It's all been black women. Guys, what do you think? I mean, I'm listening to this, but he does say, well, I didn't say it's all. Okay, but it seems like black women are being blamed disproportionately from just listening to what he's saying. Anyway, continue.
But there is a large percentage of black women who have been incentivized to have children out of wedlock. They've been incentivized to utilize a system that they know benefits them. And they do this on a regular basis.
Okay, just as a
Just
quick,
on a regular basis.
do you really believe that there's like people out there that are like, I want to have a kid so I get welfare?
Yes. I don't believe it. I know it. I don't believe it. I know it.
Why do
I know my culture?
Why do black women do this but not white women or Indian women or Asian women or other people?
Well, I don't know if white women do this or not.
Okay, let me stop here because he's saying that black women do want to have the welfare and stuff, that they're going to have a child to get that money and stuff. I don't believe that. I believe that black women use the system because they have no choice. If you have a child, you're a single mother. How are you going to provide for that child? And how are you going to work and take care of a baby or a toddler? You can't do it. And children are very expensive. Just to feed children, clothe them, and give them the basics is a lot of money. So to say that women are just getting pregnant so they could go into welfare, I'm sure there's an exception to it. I'm sure there's women that do that, but it's not wise. It don't make sense because you're not going to live a glamorous life on welfare as a single mother. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, the government's going to give you subsidies, food stamps, Section 8 housing, but even with that stuff, you got to apply for that. And Section 8 housing, you got to be put on a list. They don't just say, black woman, you're a single mom. Here's a house. Here's money. Here's everything you need. It don't work that way. Okay. And yes, black women are going to use the system because they have no choice. It's either that, it's survival at this point. Either her and her child eats or they don't, because at that point the man is left. He already broke contact and he's gone. And that is the case so many times. And I blame men for this. Women ain't just saying, hey, I'm going to get pregnant going on welfare. That's BS. Anyway, let's continue.
A lot of white women on welfare too. I can't speak for white women because I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that culture, but I know what I grew up around. I've heard the conversations amongst women. I've heard the things that they've said. One of the issues that I point out in my show, which is a real issue during the time where Gen Xers were younger and you had the boomer parents, you had this switch, like you talked about earlier, where the women started going into the workforce more and going to get their education more. Well, one of the things that happened is a lot of the boomer women would use their daughters to help them with the housework. So when mom goes off to work or whatever, her daughter is helping raise the siblings. And what I've had a lot of women tell me, a lot of black women tell me, and I know it's anecdotal, but I've had a lot of women.
I'm going to say this, what he's talking about, using the siblings to help take care of the other kids so she could go to work and stuff. That's what all low income people do. White, black, Asian, Hispanic, they do this. And if you're a single mother, you got to kind of rely on the kids to help you out. That's not a black thing. That's just what people do to survive that don't have much income, especially single mothers. But anyway, let's continue.
Women tell me one of their escapes was to have sex, have a child with a guy, because then she can get Section 8 or she can get public housing, and now she can move out and get the hell away from her mama's house where her mother's forcing her to cook, clean, and do all of the housework. And they feel like slaves.
I would have to I hate to be like a nerd and be like, we should look at the stats, but people don't. There might be some people that do this, but like single moms don't live glorious lives. Like, it sucks. Being a single mom sucks. You can get all the fucking welfare in the world, but nobody's living like a queen on Section 8 housing,
But
right? No, but I'm just saying, I don't think people are choosing like, oh, like I'm gonna finally move out of my mom's house by having a kid and getting welfare. I don't think people are making choices like that. I think it might happen, and then people collect welfare afterwards.
No, they actually are, because you don't. Here's the thing, because this is what you're not getting. It's not a choice that they're making because it's the best choice in the sense that when I do this, I'm gonna have an awesome life. You're already dealing with a group of people who are already at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder.
If this was true, why do black women do abortions more than any other group of people? Shouldn't they be having the most children then to take advantage of all the welfare?
Oh God! That is a good point. If black women, and do you hear what he said? If they're using children to get all these benefits and stuff, why would they have the most abortion? That's a good point. But Destiny's using logic. Angryman, I think's more of how he feels and what he's been spoon fed. Just respectfully, I would say that's what it is. That's what I believe. It seems like Destiny's looking at it like, okay, wait a minute. The welfare is not a glamorous life. Most women aren't saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna get pregnant and get Section 8 and welfare and stuff." That does happen because, like I said, they have a baby. The man ain't there. What does she do? Okay, and I think some black women, to avoid being a welfare single mom, will have that abortion because she feels that she can move on and have a child with a man that's going to provide for her. I think that's really what's going on. I don't think black women are just looking to get pregnant and get welfare benefits. I think that's BS. I look, and there's probably some that think that way, but I think the majority are not looking to live that welfare life. I really don't. What do you guys think? Is he right? Are black women just wanting to have a child to get on Section 8 and welfare benefits? I don't agree that they are. There's always an exception, but I think they get on welfare because they have no choice. And when it comes to that, and you don't have no money and you're alone, you're a single mother with a baby, what are you going to do? You have no choice but to take the welfare so you and your child can eat. That's just survival at this point. But anyway, let's continue.
Because there's numerous reasons for that too. For one, you have some women that genuinely don't really want to have kids. They like the party lifestyle. But the ones that do, they want to have those kids by a specific guy. Okay? Because some guys are going to bring more benefits than others. Okay? When it comes to child support, there are chicks out here in the black community, they'll get pregnant by a guy. If a chick gets pregnant by a guy that just enlisted in the military, she's not deleting that baby. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen because she knows that's definite child support. And look, this.
Okay, yes, that's true. But women that are with a man that could provide resources is not going to delete that child. Whether it's a guy in the military or not, if he's providing, she's not going to delete that child. And yes, the military will force you to pay your child support. Yes, they will. Um, I know soldiers I had that had, children from women that weren't their wives, and yes, the military makes you own up to your responsibilities. He is right about that. And look, there are women that do go for military guys because they know they got a steady paycheck. There's benefits there, medical's taken care of. Um, I've seen it. I've been in the army for 20 years, and I've been stationed in these little towns, and The women in the rural areas, they look at a serviceman as, a man that has a job, has a career, and it is glorified. It really is. Um, Women cling to military men. They do, because there is stability there. You're not a millionaire, but you do have a steady paycheck. You have resources. You know, um, but any woman that's with a man that's got resources ain't going to delete the child. I mean, come on. The problem is the reason they delete the child is because they don't have the money or the resources.
This is not something that everybody talks about in polite society, but it's something that goes on a regular basis. I know this for a fact. I've had these experiences. Numerous men that I know have had these experiences. When I talked about this the other night on my show, there was a guy, Adam, that was telling me that, well, that's not true. I don't believe that. And then I literally had a black woman come onto my show and say, yes, her family has even told her to do that because she's in her 20s. She doesn't have any children. And at one point she needed a place to stay or whatever. And she said that the women in her family was basically scolding her. You need to go out here and find a guy that you don't really like that, get pregnant by him so that you can get all of the benefits that we get. They do this.
Oh my God. Do you guys believe this? That there's families that tell women, get with a guy you really don't like just so you can use him for his benefits. I'm sure there's some that do somewhere. Um, I think mostly what they say is get with a man that has resources that can provide for you. Um, hey, I've told my daughters that be with a man that's successful, one that loves you but works hard and is successful, that has resources. Because look, the bottom line, and this is to all women, you need to be with a man that has resources, that loves you, that will put you first. And yes, attraction's part of it. Don't get with the guy you're not attracted to because you're going to have problems. You got to have that too. But he's got to be successful. He's got to be able to provide. There is nothing wrong with a woman wanting a man that can provide. She would be dumb not to want that. Okay? Women are more vulnerable than men. Women do not have the same ability, or the same, how can I say this? They don't have the same opportunities as men. Let's be honest. Okay? When it comes to employment, careers. Okay, women are successful, yes. They do amazing things, but they don't have, you know, the same that men do. Men have it easier in that sense when it comes to, finding work, career, resources. It just is what it is. But anyway, let's continue. I might cut this a little short. This is going on. This is a lot here to unpack. Um, and it's a long video, but
I know it sounds crazy, but they do this. This is one of the things that the men in my culture have been constantly complaining about, and it's being treated like we're delusional.
Well, I don't know. I mean, to complain about it as a guy, just use birth control, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the smart guys out here. Look, if you look at black guys out here, the smart guys, they're not out here getting a bunch of women pregnant. They're not.
Well, but how are they getting pregnant?
Because there's literally 3 guys in Tennessee right now that have a total of 86 children by 34 different women. There are guys out here that have 10 children by 5 different women. There are guys out here, like when you go look at the CDC stats, when it comes to the deadbeat dads, that actually represents a small percentage of the black male population. It's about 8%, right? So what's happening is you have a number of women that are basically having children with multiple guys, but it's a very small percentage of the male population. It's
Oh yeah, because they're good quality, high value men, right? Right, Angryman. That's what it is. It's the women's fault. They're, most of the guys are not impregnating the women. It's mostly the women, right? And I've heard them say that somebody said, "Oh, it's 20% of black men impregnating 80% of black women." Like what? The bottom line is black men are not marrying black women. They're not. 30% of black men are married, statistically. 27% of black women are married. Okay? So I think what the problem is they're not marrying the women. They're having sex with the women. They're and that's it. And most of them aren't sticking around. The biggest out of birth rate. And I know black women are blamed for that too. It just blows my mind. And you know what? I'm pulling my hair out listening to him. It's like the men are victims and the women are at fault. I don't know, but let's continue.
Not all of us. So what's happening is you end up with these guys out here, and I can't name how many times I've heard this, and it's crazy. I didn't even know it was a reality. But I myself only have 3 children by one woman, right? So you have these guys out here that'll be like, yeah, my dad had 19 kids.
Why? Okay, then if women are choosing, if black women are choosing to get pregnant for the welfare and all that shit and child support, none of these women are getting child support then. If there's one guy knocking up like 30 fucking women, right? So why would they even do this? Why would they make these choices?
Because the way that system is structured, right? Even if you can't extract child support out of the guy, right? There are still numerous programs that you can get. I know a woman that had I think she has like 10 children. Habitat for Humanity gave her a house.
Yeah, but do you think that's norm? But that's not the norm, right?
It's not the norm.
That people are getting free houses for having kids in black communities? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's not the norm.
What?
Okay.
Oh my God. It's not the norm. Because look, Destiny said it's not the norm for black women to get houses for having children. And Angryman's like, what? That's not the norm? What? Like it is the norm. Like this is what happens. Ladies, maybe you can answer my question. Are single black women that have children getting free houses? Is this happening? Because it sounds like Angryman believes it's happening. I mean, I know there's an extreme, like maybe that one lady that had 10 kids, they might have done a fundraiser and gave her a house. That does happen, but it's not the norm. Most black women that are single mothers aren't given a house. They're just not. They might get on the list for Section 8 and get that, but I don't know. I'm just blown away.
Look.
Well, here I'm curious. How many? If we, and I'm not trying to I need 52.8%. I don't need an exact stat, but how many women do you think in the black community that get pregnant? How many of them, roughly, what percentage of them are just looking for a welfare check? Just so I can get an idea of where you think the scale is.
I could tell you how many are pregnant out of wedlock, which I think is a little above 70-some%. But so far as their motive, that would be a little harder to pin down. Because I'm not saying that all of them. What I'm saying is that is a cultural trend. And the reason why it's a trend is because you have women that will school their daughters to do that.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious because I'm sure it's happened. I'm not going to tell you it's never happened, but I'm just curious where you think do you think this is 2% of the community, which would be pretty fucked up, or do you think it's 50% of the community that's super fucked up? I'm just curious what you think the number is. And then I'll do research on it later. I'll try to look it up, I guess.
I've literally never thought about, because where would you get a census for that? But the
issue is that I guess the issue is that you're content to blame, or it feels like it. Maybe I'm getting a bad rating, you correct me, but it feels like you're content to blame the majority of the black community's problems on black women. But then you're relying on a lot of I know a woman that told me this, I've got a friend that's done that, and it's okay, but how do you know that this is representative of the black community as a whole? Or how do you know that in different towns or cities
Okay, yeah, and that's a good point. It's like all this hearsay stuff. I know a woman that did this. I know somebody that did that, and I know they're conditioned to get on welfare and have children, and I know we could all play that I know somebody game, or I've seen this. But when you really want to find the truth, statistics and studies that people have done, that's where you get an idea of what's going on. And look, I don't buy this that black women just want to get on welfare and get pregnant and do this. Sad to say that black men can fix this problem simply by the woman you're with, marrying her, making her your wife, okay? And if you don't feel love enough towards her to marry her, you do not touch her, okay? If you could live by that in the woman that you really love and you can marry her, that will fix so many problems. If you went back to the basics, live that traditional life, one man, one woman, and children, you marry these black women and you do what you're supposed to as a man. If enough black men could do this, it would eliminate so many problems. The abortion issue. If more black women are getting married, there's going to be a lot less abortions. If there's more men providing, these women are not going to seek out Planned Parenthood. They're just not going to do it. But if you're not able to do what you need to as a man, you need to step back, let other races of men marry black women. And black women, listen to me. If black men are not doing it for you, providing for you, you need to look at other groups of men. I'm just being honest. Okay? You got to do what you got to do to survive. And look, taking the blame and, carrying the load and uplifting these guys and making excuses and putting it all on your shoulder and giving your love, your heart and soul to a man that just turns around and blames you for everything. That's not good. There are men in other communities that will love you, black women. Black women, you're more valuable than to put up with this crap of taking the blame for everything under the sun. And what I've seen of this video, it sounds like black women are getting most of the blame by Angryman here. And, he lives in the black community, I don't. So he sees more than I do. But what he's saying does not make no sense. It really doesn't. It seems like he's just protecting the black man's image. I that's all I see. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I see. I'm going to go for a little bit more, and then we'll have a panel if you guys want to come up and talk. I'm not going to review the whole video because there's still another hour of this, and we'll be up all night if I react to everything. But I do want to do a little bit more, and then I'll stop. I think we got a lot of stuff that was said, a lot of perception when it comes to welfare, the single black woman, the single mother, a black man, manosphere, black man's perspective on it. Okay? and you got Destiny's take on it. Okay. And we'll go a little bit longer. We'll have a panel and talk about it if that's what you want to do. Okay. But let's continue a little bit more and then we'll get to the panel.
This is how it works everywhere. Like, it seems like numbers or census data on that would be pretty important.
The reason why I know it is because every single time there's an issue with Section 8. Right now, recently, they just had an issue with Section 8 where a lot of the landlords in Atlanta have stopped taking Section 8. So guess what? Black women are all across social media crying about it.
Well, but what does that show? I mean, like, if you genuinely need the assistance, of course you're going to cry about it, right?
Yeah, right. And that makes sense. Yeah, they're going to cry about it because they need a place to stay. They need a roof over their head for their children and themselves. Yeah, look, who would not be upset if they took away your Section 8 housing? If you're a single mother that has children, that's pretty concerning. Okay? And a lot of times people don't want to go with Section 8 because a lot of times, people that are on Section 8 don't take care of the property. And it's because, and it's not a racial issue. It's just that's how people are. If it's not theirs, they're not concerned about it. So a lot of people don't want to deal with Section 8 housing. They don't. A lot of people have, gotten the short end of the stick, had to do a lot of repairs and not. So, I mean, they don't have to. But the women, they're going to be concerned, and they should. Because they need a place to stay. They need food. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
But no, it's not. It's some that genuinely need the assistance, but it's a lot that continue to live on it. These are people that live on the system the majority of their life. They're not using it in the sense that they're supposed to use it for. Where, oh, I'm down bad, I have some issues, let me use this so that I can get on my feet. They're not doing that. What they're doing is they're looking and finding loopholes to continue to be on that system perpetually. That's the problem.
If you have a kid, you're going to be on the system. If you're a single mom, of course you will be, right? You're not going to try to get out of Section 8 housing or assistance for your child if you're a single mom and your kid turns 3 years old, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't see that I don't see single moms looking for assistance from the government as a negative thing.
Here's the thing. Hold on 1 second. I got my guy Patriarchy here. I'm gonna bring him up. I didn't just want to bring him up and have you feel like I'm ambushing you.
He's ambushing you, Destiny. He's bringing his boy up here to help him out because you're schooling him right now. So he's bringing. Yeah. You guys want to go into this a little bit more? Let's see when his friend comes up.
Whatever, but
yeah, and I guess I
know he wanted to get a piece of the conversation.
Patriarchy,
what's going on,
man? Let me ask you a question, right? Destiny, you said you can't blame, I guess, the failures on the black community on black women. Is that what you said? Can you refresh that for me?
Yeah, I don't think you can't blame all the failures of the black community on black women. I don't think that's fair.
What about blaming the majority?
I don't think that's fair either, especially when it comes to child making, because it takes two to tango. It's men and women.
Correct, right? But the thing is, if you're telling me that in certain parts of the world, as you said, they outnumber men 3-1, why would you not then at least, I'm not saying blaming is going to do anything, but why would you not say that there's some responsibility for what it is that they're doing? Also,
because the question, wait, let me just answer that. Because the question is, why do they outnumber men 3-1? It's because a lot of the guys are getting locked up.
Okay, and I think that those.
A lot of them getting locked up, gang violence, deleting each other. Look, and I'll say this. I know this trigger warning. The black man's worst enemy, statistically, you know who that is? Another black man. Seriously. In Chicago, black men have deleted other black men more than any hate group in America the Klan or all these other hate groups, white supremacist groups, have done in a lifetime. Okay? Let that sink in. So actually, black men are deleting other black men. And you guys have seen that video, that police video, right? The 5 black cops that uh, sent the black man to meet his maker, right? We've seen that video. Okay? That happens in real life. And what I've seen is these police officers were, in my opinion, gangsters in uniform. Okay? But that happens all the time. And I would dare to say that this happens more often with black on black violence than a white racist cop going out there doing it. And in fact, white people and other groups are being deleted by police officers, wrongful shootings and accidents. And, that it happens. Okay. And look, we need the police. We can't defund the police. That is the dumbest crap ever. Yes, you're going to have people abuse their power. You're going to have people take it to the extreme where people are going to be deleted. And it's sad. But if we do away with it, look, the criminals ain't going to care. They're just going to delete you and move forward. Okay? But anyway, I just threw that in there. But look, that's my observation, and I believe it to be true. Look, men are evil across the board. If you read the Bible, it says we're all sinners, and we are. The only thing we can do is come to God and try to make ourselves better. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue.
But that is the man's fault as well, right?
Sure.
But in general, even outside of the men that are being locked up, there's 1 million more black women than there are black men, right? In your earlier statements, you said that they were the backbone of the community. If you have a backbone of a community and the community is failing, then I think you have some ability to place responsibility on what you said that backbone was.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, they're not the backbone because women want to be the leaders of the black community. But that's essentially what's happened in a lot of these communities.
Tell that to the squad that women don't want to be the leaders of the black community. It looks, as you said before, they're doing better in school. They're certainly making all the steps to become those leaders.
They do, because they have to, because black men have failed them.
Okay.
Because black men are looking back to legislation from 30 years ago saying Biden put drugs in my car, I had to carry a gun. Like, all of these communities that are being policed have just as well.
Hey, that's a point I make a lot. They go back into the past and blame it on what's going on today. Here's the thing. If you knew what caused problems in the past, wouldn't you fix it? Because look, these guys, they'll tell you, oh, it's white supremacy did this, did that. Black women did this, did that. They got all the answers why this happened. Well, okay, fix it. It's not hard. Do not lay down with a woman you're not in love with. Do not have children with a woman you're not going to marry. It's simple. If you want a legacy, you got to do it the right way. If you want your community to thrive and be prosperous, you have to do it the right way. There's more to it than having an excuse from what happened 35 years ago and beyond. That time is dead. The past is dead. We cannot change the past. It's over. All we can do is live for now and make a better future. But it's all blame. The Biden crime bill. And look, I'm not a Biden fan whatsoever. But you can't blame the man for everything. I mean, come on. You got to take responsibility as a man within your community. Because if you don't, if it's always black women's fault, Well, you're going to be at the bottom of the barrel until you realize that you got to fix it and it's your fault. Anyway, let's continue.
Like we said earlier, there's more black
Yeah.
women than black men in these communities. Black women aren't selling
Correct.
drugs. Black women aren't killing each other in the streets. Black women aren't, getting fucked with drugs like Biden made them to do it.
Well,
So
they-
to say
they-
that
they
like
do.
black women are the fault because they're the backbones of these communities that are really rough to manage because black men have like fallen on themselves so much. I just think it's fair to say that like, well, the problem is black women because they have to step up to try to manage these communities.
But it's as you said.
Hey guys, he made that point. So black women have had to step up because they have no choice, and then you turn around and blame them because they're in charge because you wouldn't take charge, and then it's their fault. Talk about putting black women in a box, putting them in a catch-22 situation. Oh my God. I mean, wow. I can't even believe I'm listening to this. I can't even believe this. Really? It These guys are more worried about the black man's image than doing the right thing. It's like at all costs, it's not the black man's fault. It's either white supremacy or the black woman or society or some crime bill way back or stuff that happened in the past. Okay, but what about you? What are you going to do to fix it? You have the answers. You know what caused it, right? Now fix it. Anyway, let's continue.
Before, it takes two to tango. So if you're why don't you share responsibility in that blame? I don't disagree with you, right? I personally think Biden's crime bill was very effective in terms of lowering crime. But what I'm saying is that if I go to a community and you make up the majority voter base, right? Also, another reason why I think that the blame should be at least somewhat at somebody's feet is because who's consuming most of that welfare spending?
Yeah, well, it would make sense if black women are because black men run from their families, right? So of course.
No,
but also real quick, when you say, I just want
He's getting emotional.
to be really clear. Wait, you can answer that, and I just want to be really quick. I'm not going to say black women are blameless. I'm just saying that the responsibility should be shared. It's probably a 50-50 thing because for every black man that stepped on a
I don't think it's 50-50 thing. No. I think it's mostly the men's fault. Anyway, let's continue.
black woman after getting her pregnant, there's a black woman that fucked a black dude before getting married or deciding to use birth control, right? So I think there's equal blame there, but I wouldn't say that it's like most of it goes on black women. I said there's like 50-50.
Well,
Sure,
here's the thing. No, because you said something. We gotta clear that up. Black men do not run from their families. That is a total misnomer. And
what do you think, guys? He said black men do not run from their families. It's a lie. So they're staying in the home helping raise the children, right? Most of the black men are marrying black women, right? They're not running. Maybe it's all a big lie. Maybe actually black men are staying and taking care of the kids. What do you think? What do you mean they're not running, sir? Why are there so many single black women with children if they're not running? Why are black women the most single mothers if black men are not running? I mean, what are you talking about? If they weren't running, black women would be the most married, would they not? They would be taken care of. Interesting.
that is that is something that has been pushed for a very long time, and it is not accurate. As I stated before, when you go back to the 70s, you start to see black men leaving the households for numerous reasons. It wasn't just because they just decided, oh, you know what, I don't want to be a father. That's not true. They actually came out with a study, and the CDC numbers disproved that. So let's
wait. CDC numbers disproved what? The black household having single moms is not like a myth. No,
I didn't say that. What I'm talking about is nowadays Black fathers are actually in their children's lives more than any other demographic, even if they're not in the household. So if we're
No,
talking,
come on.
My God, that fake study. Okay, whatever. Yeah, they're the greatest fathers. Okay. Maybe the ones that are married, maybe there's something there, but no, I don't. I just can't buy this. Let's go.
That's not
no,
true.
go look it up.
I have looked it up. I know exactly
CDC.
what I know exactly the
CDC,
fucking PDF. Yeah,
look it up.
what they do is they do a whole bunch of like really clever number games to basically try to say that. I remember reading this thing, the truth about Black fatherhood, and then it goes into stereotypes of Black fathers. What they try to say is that like of the fathers that are absent in their child's lives, Black fathers tend to be more involved than the other people that are uninvolved in their children's lives. But as a whole, for like whose fathers are more involved in their children's lives, the Black community is the worst. Now, of the ones that are uninvolved, maybe the uninvolved, or maybe the Black fathers that are out of the household are a bit better than like the white and the Asian and Indian Black, or the Indian fathers that are out of the household. But as a whole, well, wait, hold on. You can't tell me that like it's so wait, real quick. Let me just finish real quick. You can't tell me in one breath that I look around and I see all women are having children because I've got two friends that told me this for welfare, and then in the next breath say, well, I'm going to cite this like very esoteric analysis to prove that Black men are just as involved with their children as everybody else, when everybody in the United States knows that's not true.
Yes, I can, because look, okay, first of all, what everybody in the United States knows is true is a whole other story, especially considering the fact that you have an entire media system that has spent the past 70 years dogging Black men, which is another reason why we're talking so much shit nowadays. This is the whole.
Okay, poor Black men. Sorry we dogged you in society. Sorry, Black women are doing you wrong left and right. Just getting pregnant just to spite you. Just getting on welfare to live that glamorous life, because they don't want to be with you. They just want to torment you, and you're just doing everything right. It's Black women's fault. Yeah, I get it. That and white supremacy, yes. Yeah, I'm just going to listen to a little bit more. I can't take this. I'm losing brain cells listening to this, but we'll continue for a little bit more, and then we'll have a panel and then close up.
Reason that channels like mine exist to speak truth to power and tell what's really going on, as opposed to the narrative that's being pushed that Black men are just sorry. First and foremost, it doesn't matter how many women are on welfare. It does not mean that the fathers are not in their lives. I was in my child's life, and my kid's mother still went and got welfare. So that's not true.
Yeah. I do think that when you're talking about fathers running out, right, I do think that you're not really taking note of the court system, and they really don't have a choice when 90% of.
Okay, here's another blame game. The court system. They're biased against Black men too. You see how he got emotional? Truth to power. It ain't true. Black men are there in their child's life. Okay. And now they're going to talk about the court system. We'll cover the court system, then we'll get out and have the panel.
Custody is going to be awarded to the woman.
Yeah, but that's because the women are the ones taking care of the kids. Black fathers, because we.
How do you know that?
Hold on. So let me just clearly state it. So you guys think that Black fathers are being kept out of their child's lives because of the courts?
I think there are some.
Right? Okay, wait, hold on. Some. When you say some, like 40% or 1%? I need you to quantify that for me.
Well, I can quantify that 90% of custody is awarded to women.
Okay, and I can quantify that less than 48% of Black women get child support because their baby daddies don't even pay it. So I'm asking you, when we have an epidemic of single mother Black families, do you think that most of those Black men are being kept out because of custody arguments with judges?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That's delusional. That's delusional.
But look at the ratio. When you literally have a system that will award a woman custody 90% of the time, you can't say every single time it was the man that didn't want to be there. The men don't have a choice when you know if you go into something, you're going to lose 90% of the time.
The reason why women are awarded custody most of the time is because women are usually the ones taking care of the kids.
It's
No,
by choice.
that's not true.
That's not true at
Of
all.
course.
true.
Wait, hold
That's
on.
not
You're
true.
telling me.
There's
Let me hear that. You think
there's
that men
actually
and women in the black community take care of children at home equally? That it's just as likely for the woman to work or the man to work, and both of them are just as likely to be
First of all,
taking care of the
okay,
children.
What I'm saying is that the
Okay,
court
wait.
system.
Let me say this. First of all, the women are not taking care of the children. Most of these children are wards of the state. They may as well be. The state is taking care of those children. The food stamps is feeding them. Section 8 in public housing is putting a roof over their head. These women are not doing anything except presiding over these children. Not to mention the fact that there is an epidemic in the black community of children being abused. And if you go look up the stat on that, the majority of the time that they're being abused is when they're in the custody of their mothers. I just recently did a story about a mother.
Okay, is that true? That most abuse is when it's in the custody of women? Well, most of the children are in custody of black women in the black community. Uh, Black women are the most single mothers, so yeah, it would be in their custody most of the time. But you're saying if they're in the custody of a black man, that won't happen? And who's doing the abuse? Is it black women or black men? I'm just asking. I mean, this is a big blame game, in my opinion. It's all to blame black women. They're doing this and that, and you know, and Destiny said, okay, it's got to at least be 50-50. I mean, when two people uh, have sex with each other and a child is a product of that, you got to at least blame the man too because it takes two. But it seems like they don't even do that. They won't even say it's half the man's fault and half the woman's. It's like it's slanted that it's black women's fault. And I think they're more concerned about the black man's image than the black community. I believe that. I think that a lot of these guys care more about their image than their community, than their children, than their legacy. Just by what I'm hearing. And maybe I'm totally wrong, but that's the perception I get. Anyway, let's continue.
Mother who literally deleted her child. And when the police arrested her for it, she confessed the reason why I did it is because she loved her daddy more. Literally, she confessed.
I can't.
This is not even my opinion.
Yeah, I can't argue with like the stories you give me. Like I can give you one story for every other story that you've got. I can't argue with that. If you think the majority.
Yes, look, and there's no research, there's no data. It just, hey, there was one woman that did this. Yes, okay. Look, how many times we hear this? I've watched YouTube so much, and there used to be, I don't know if they still have it, a channel swirling gone wrong, right? Interracial relationships, where a black woman gets with a white man and horrible things happen. They find that one example, that one case, and they run with it, making it seem like it's all. Okay? And here's what they do. This is what beta kings do. Okay? They'll judge black women, white men in a collective and judge themselves in the individual. Because if you judge me as an individual, I'm only responsible for what I do. If you judge me in the collective, then anything a white person has done evil in their life reflects on me, right? So it makes me look really bad. But if you judge me by what I've done, I'll look like a pretty good guy, right? That's what they do. It's manipulation. Okay, and that's what he's doing. He's manipulating. Oh, well, there was this case, this woman deleted her child because she liked her father better. Okay, that's one case. There are evil people across the world that do horrible things of all races. Look, we can find that one case. on any group. I could go to the black community, white community, Hispanic, Asian, and I can find evil people in every group. I could do it. I could target Asian people and find horrible Asian people. Or I can do it with black people, white people. Because there are billions of people in this world. But when you find the truth, you go by stats, statistics, percentages. It's like saying, okay, white men are the most abusive when it comes to domestic violence. Just go with the raw number. That's a true statement, right? Well, there are millions more white men than any other group of men in America, right? So you don't really get the truth. There's more and more are doing bad things. But you flip it, there's more and more are doing good things. Does that say they are the best? No. When you find out, it's the percentages. And there's so many ways to manipulate anything. And that's what they're doing here. But let's continue a little bit, and then I'm going to have this panel.
Majority of black men aren't in their households of their children because of like judges. I don't like. You could never give that. No, there's no stat. There's no way you could ever swear. That's just an insane.
What I can do is I can look at where custody is being awarded. I can look at where the welfare money is being distributed. Right. I can look at, so for example, even what you said earlier about women getting houses, I can look up something as simple as Section 8 vouchers. You're making it seem like these women are just, that they just had to do this hard job of taking care of their child. If it wasn't for Section 8 welfare, food stamps, and a court system, you don't know what would happen.
Well, yeah, because working and taking care of a kid at the same time is not possible. You need help. You can't do that as a single parent. So when you say, where is the welfare money going? Probably going to the people that have the child, which is going to be the mothers, of course. But like Section 8 and food stamps is not...
Who's giving the mother the child?
I mean, both of them are, right?
We just said that the court system 90% of the time gives the child to who?
Why do you think 90% of the time the mother is getting the child?
Because I think our court system has a bias towards giving children to women and ruling against men.
So I just want to hear this so it can be stated because it's ridiculous. You think that at least 50% of those black men would have fought to keep their children over the mom. You think that?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what to say.
I think if those black men...
I'm totally clueless, you guys are lying to like make a point.
Hold on a second. If those black men would have been armed with daddy government to get Section 8 welfare, food stamps, WIC, PPP loan.
Okay, stop right there, sir. So you're saying to be a father, you got to have WIC, Section 8 housing, and welfare? Because the women get it? I'm sorry. That is a weak statement. Look, if you're a real man, you're going to provide and you're going... Women have to have welfare and have to have Section 8 when they're single mothers. They can't make it without it. It's not that they want to do this. It's not that they have no choice. But now you're jealous of women because they get WIC and welfare and food stamps. They have to. But if the men were marrying these women, they wouldn't be getting government benefits, would they not? Just saying.
Tax write-offs or whatever, right? Look, anybody can take care of a kid if you give them all that stuff. And then when you have the court system ruling that you're going to get the child 90% of the time, the men are automatically from the rip eliminated.
Okay, so how do you square this away? And maybe you don't agree with the Angryman who said this, so maybe the Angryman wants to amend a statement. Yeah. How do you square this away with the fact that like it's only like a few black men are knocking up like 50 women? Like you're telling me those men, if it's only a few men that are fucking over all of the women giving the babies, are those guys just trying to find a kid that they can eventually keep, or what's going on there? Would that guy want to keep every child, or what?
No, those are the deadbeats. That's why I cited that stat, 8%. Those are the deadbeat guys. No guy of any value is going to try.
Let me say something. The difference is, right, that those men don't get handouts from the government and sympathy from people such as yourself when they do those things.
Wait, but you could.
When women. So you're telling me there's a massive amount. Those men get the type of men that do that get Section 8 as much as women.
If you have a child, isn't the Section 8 qualification only based on income? And then you also get the same tax write-off. You get the same.
Look at how it's being distributed.
No, you can't ask me how it's being distributed, because if more women are single moms than more dad are single dads, then of course more women are getting Section 8. Of course.
Hey, here's the thing: if a man is the guardian taking care of the child, and the woman's not there, the man can get Section 8, can get the benefits that women do. He can. But most cases, the women, they get the custody, they get the benefits because they're taking care of the children. Most men don't want to deal with that, so they leave. They're not. I don't buy this that black men are fighting tooth and nail to get custody over the women. There are some, I'm sure, that want the custody, that will challenge it in court, but most are not. Let's not play this game and act like they're just the court screwing them over and they don't have a prayer. No, they're not going to court to fight for the children, for the custody. And look, men that do, sometimes they get custody. And I think like 60% of the men that challenge it actually win the custody battle. But most men are not taking it to court. They're just not doing it. I think we're just pretending here, and these guys are coming up with these weird stats and hearsay, this and that. And I think Destiny's pulling his hair out because he's like, I can't believe they're saying this stuff. Because he's trying to look at it logically, and these guys are going in emotion and what they feel and what they've been spoon-fed. And the hearsay, well, I know a person that did this and did that, and this happened. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue.
Rules who gives the child to the mom?
The moms are taking care of it. How many of these guys have left before the kid is even born?
How do you know that? How can you quantify that?
We can literally look up numbers.
Go ahead, quantify how many dads leave don't put their name on the birth certificate, versus how many men. We literally can find the data for men that lose custody of their children in court. Show me the data of men that leave their child at the hospital.
Okay, I can try to find this, but it's going to take me a little bit because I don't have this number like offhand. But I mean, I can try to find it. But why do black men have this unique problem when all these same welfare systems exist for white people, for Indian people, for Asian people as well?
Why do black men have this unique problem? Did you really ask that question?
Well, number one, I do think so. Hold on a second. I will yield a couple points to what Destiny's talking about in terms of crime, right? I do think that there is a culture of crime that is present, right? But I do think that when it kind of is a chicken and egg conversation. I think that when you're raised in a single mom household, that it kind of is a cycle, right? That's what I honestly think. So I do see what he's saying in terms of crime, but at the same time, it's not like the court system. It's not like if a black father out there wants his child, that the courts, even if the mom is strung out, that the courts are going to do everything to make sure that black father is able to have his kid.
Well, here's the reality. These are the numbers when it comes to, well, not the numbers, but this is the reality when it comes to black families. When you have black families, when there is a structured black family where you have the father and the mother, the child is way more likely to succeed and not get in any trouble or things of that nature. Also, if the child is awarded, if the father is awarded custody of the child and he's being raised by a single father, he's less likely to get into trouble. The only time we see black men growing up and getting into a lot of trouble is when they're single mother raised. Now, the reason why this is, in my personal opinion, because I can't really quantify it, is because the women of today are not really taking the time to actually teach those children. They're actually zoning out. They have the children in the household running buck wild, they go outside, they run buck wild, and they're not really playing a heavy role in those children's lives. So that's what's going on culturally.
Yeah, but the question is who's from. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at this number. So here, this is like, because I've never looked at like this particular data before, but listed someone here. Apparently, 32% of Black newborns have no father listed on the birth certificate. Now, this is just one. This is just Cook County, Illinois, but damn,
That's one part.
that is one part. Do you have any numbers on how many Black fathers are listed on the birth certificate?
I know that.
Wow, 32% not listed on the birth certificate. But these men are such great fathers, they want to be in the kid's life, right? It's the court that's doing them wrong. You know, when a woman has a child, you can put your name on the birth certificate. It's not hard to do. But a lot choose not to because they don't want to be tied to the child. 32, that's a pretty high number. And that's just what, Illinois? What is it across America in every state?
I have numbers on how many children are awarded custody to their mother.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
I still have 90%. You have 30%.
Yeah, but you don't know why the number is 90%. That's the whole part of that conversation.
And you don't know why that number's 30%.
Well, is it because they're
Maybe
all
the mom told him the wrong hospital. I mean, if you're just making up, we both could make up numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I can't think of many reasons why somebody wouldn't be on a birth certificate. If you can't, well, maybe the father dies. I don't know if that'd be a reason to give off. I can't think of many reasons why. If you can think of some, then that's fine. Plus,
I can't think of a reason. Hold on a second. I can't.
Okay, I'm going to stop it here, guys. I think that's enough for today. Yeah, my head is just ringing. I'm just like, oh my God. But a lot there, right? Okay, in my opinion, from what I heard, it's a lot of victimhood, a lot of blame on Black women, and I think it was to protect the Black man's image. I think that's what it was. Okay, and I think men would be better off if they just live like that rugged individual and do right with your life and not worry about the collective. Because you can't control the collective. All you can do is control yourself. Um, but there is a problem in the Black community when it comes to marriage, when it comes to children born out of wedlock, when it comes to abortion, when it comes to all this stuff. Okay? And look, Black women are put in a position that most women are not put in. And let's be honest. Not to say that other women aren't left alone to raise a child, that does happen. But Black women go through far worse than any other group of women. Okay? And even in their community, they're treated less than. But the amazing thing is Black women have found a way to adapt and overcome. And Black women are still successful, even with all this BS, taking the blame, being single mothers, you know, having pretty much having their face pushed in the mud, but yet Black women still rise up and adapt and overcome. You cannot tell me Black women aren't the best choice when it comes to women, when it comes to marriage. You can't tell me that. Because just of what we witness here on this little debate, Black women are a target. And they have the blame thrown at them. And for what? For being the most loyal, the most loving? Waiting for that good Black man to come through and marry her and live happily ever after? I would say, Black women, you're giving way too much, and you're not getting a return in your investment. You're not. Most of you aren't. You're giving your heart and soul to a group of men that blames you for everything. That's what I see. Am I wrong? It's just sad. Just listening to that debate. Just like, really? Could they once say, you know what? It's both our fault. You know what? Let's go 50-50. It's the black man's fault and the white and the black woman's fault, right? They couldn't even do that. That's sad. And it won't get better till men realize, you know what? If I'm the leader, I need to do what's right before anybody else does. Because if I'm a leader, they're going to follow my example. I'm going to influence them to do the right thing. That's what a leader does. A leader does not blame everybody else around them. Once he does that, he's no longer the leader. He's a victim. And it's everybody's fault around him. And that's what I got out of this whole thing, guys. And, I thought I'd go on tonight, do this reaction, have fun with it, joke around. But as I got to listening, it was not funny anymore. It's not fun because when you see the real truth and black women are treated so poorly, but yet they show the most love for their men. The reason the black community is still moving forward is because of black women. The reason more people haven't opened up their option is because of black women. And I get it. Black women are the most loyal, they're the most loving, they're the most nurturing, and that's a blessing. But given to the wrong man, it's a curse. But anyway, the link is up here if you want to come on before I shut down. I just wanted to go through this video. A number of you asked me to do a reaction and give you my opinion. And overall, my opinion is the focus is on the perception of the black man protecting his image at all costs. And if that means making black women look bad, that's what's going to happen. And it's sad because if these guys would put the black woman first and lift her up and treat her like the treasure she is, their image would be flawless. Their image would be like a godly man that's doing everything right. Because how a community does, how a neighborhood does, how a nation does, whether they're successful or a failure, is how they take care of the women in their community. I believe that. Cultures and different groups that don't take care of their women and respect them, they're not successful. The ones that are love the women that God has provided for them. They treat them like the treasure they are. They protect, they provide them. They tell them that they're beautiful. They tell them that they love them. And they sacrifice for them. They put the women and children first. If you don't do that, you're not going to be successful. If you lay down with a woman and do not marry her, there will be a curse put upon you, your children, your grandchildren, and generations. And if you want to break that curse, do it God's way. Do it the right way. Marriage is the key. Marriage is the key to success. When you get away from that, that's when everything gets destroyed. But anyway, all right. Well, I'm going to be closing soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. If you do want to come on, the link's still up there. If not, that's fine. I know it's late. It's almost midnight where I'm at. It's almost 2 in the morning on the East Coast. Um, West Coast, it's only 10:41. So, but anyway, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and close this, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Um, I enjoy doing these shows. I enjoy the interaction. I enjoy the connection we have, and you're what makes this possible. Um, you're what motivates me to do this, and I enjoy it. I do. I know I talk a lot. I know our lives have been so long, but it's not that I want to be up all night talking. It's that I enjoy it. I embrace having this conversation. I love connecting with you. And let me tell you this. And I had a dream about this. And this is something I'm seeing. I had a dream the other night. And I'm going to share this with you. And I like went back in time when I was younger, when I was a teenager. Um, Back when I was dating, when I was 16. Um, and I remember the first girlfriend I had was a black girl. And I was so excited. It felt so good to be accepted. And it felt like I was on cloud nine like no tomorrow. And I still remember the feeling to this day. It was awesome. It was great. And I had a dream about that. And I was standing out in the desert somewhere, and I was talking to a crowd of people. It didn't make sense, right? They're like in bleachers, and I'm out in the desert, in the middle of nowhere. And I says, I love black women. I want to be, you know, and I was expressing my feelings, right? And I looked around, and I was the only one out there. And somebody said in the crowd, "Well, why don't you look around you?" And I'm like, "What?" And then I turned my head, and there was another guy there, and he was just saying how much he loved black women, right? I'm like, oh, okay. And then I looked the other direction. There was another guy that said the same thing, and these were white men saying this, right? And I felt so good. It felt like I wasn't alone. It felt like there were people just like me that felt like I do, that we have a connection. And I remember my time in the army when, when I first went in and I had a squad leader. He's a white guy married to a black woman. And I remember we had talks about this. And it's so crazy that it's like we said the same exact thing about our wives. And I thought about that dream and I keep thinking about it. Though it don't make sense, it makes perfect sense. It's that we're opening up our eyes, we're seeing the truth. I did it earlier than other men, but other men are rising up. Other men I'm seeing expressing that they love black women. And look, it needs to be done. It needs to be said. You know, and the beautiful thing is black women appreciate us white men expressing our love for them. Well, most do. There's some that don't like it, but and most black men hate to hear it. They just want to shut you up and call you a panderer or whatever. But we do not need to be silent how we feel. We do not need to shut up. We need to speak out and tell the truth. I'm done hiding who I am. And I know some people were a little upset with me about my political views because they have different political views. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm just telling you who I am, and I have passion on my beliefs. And I have nothing against you if you have different beliefs. That's fine. No worries on that. That's what makes us our nation great is we we could come together with different views, different opinions, and still love each other. Okay? Um but I wanted to share that dream I had, and I think about it all the time. It makes me feel pretty good. And a beautiful thing is happening that I'm seeing other white men like me that love black women. And I think that's awesome. I really do. And men that can be honest and say how they really feel and not worry about what people think, not worry about the repercussion, not worry about if someone's coming after you and stuff. We're just telling the truth and we're standing up. And we need to. Because if we're going to take care of our most precious treasure in our country, which is the black woman, and once we do right by her, I think our nation will be better. We'll be better as men, better as people, and I think God will bless us. But if we dog out black women and treat them like crap, God's judgment will fall upon us. It is what it is. And I'm not just talking, I believe that with all my heart. But anyway, I could talk all night about this. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and close up. Thank you for coming in. God bless you and your families. And I'll see you guys during the week. Sorry this was so late, but you know, I enjoyed it, and I'm blessed to have you on my channel. You are my friends. You are my family. We got our own little community here. Black women, white men, we're coming together. And that's a beautiful thing. We should not hate on people loving each other. And black women, white men, we are the most successful when it comes to marriage, when it comes to family. You know why? Because we're coming together with love and we're having more success. But anyway, guys, I'll see you soon. I'll see you during the week. Um, I don't know what day I'll post it during the week. Probably in about 2 or 3 days, I'll go live again. But I just want to say thank you for everything. I want to thank you for listening to me. I want to thank you for putting up with me and my craziness for as long as I've been on YouTube. And look, I'm not looking at stopping this anytime soon. As long as YouTube allows me to be here, I'm going to be here and I'm going to keep talking. But I love you guys. Black women, I could truly say I love you and you are the best. And I mean it. And you know what? Don't accept nothing less than the best, ladies. You've given your heart and soul. Now it's time we give it back to you. But anyway, good night, guys. God bless you and your families, and I'll see you in a couple days. Have a good night. God bless.